arms race is heating up and becoming dangerous? The question is simple but chilling. When two giants stalk each other in the deep, how long before a shadow turns into a spark? America's allies from Australia to Japan are now rushing to bolster their fleets. Canberra is investing tens of billions under the AUKUS Pact, while Tokyo expands its silent service.
60 million square miles of ocean. That's China's greatest weapon, not missiles, not ships, but distance itself. Every extra mile stretches U.S. supply lines thinner, turning time and fuel into vulnerabilities.
Now the Pacific is ground zero for a new arms race as the US-China rivalry erupts beneath the waves. Beijing's silent hunters grow deadlier. American subs pack cutting-edge tech, but Washington struggles to outbuild its surging rival. With every launch and commission, the world's two superpowers are racing ahead for global naval supremacy.
The US Navy's submarine force has reigned supreme, an invisible, lethal arm of American might. Now the Americans have a new competitor. It's not the Russians, it's the Chinese.
But what if the US could build a base that moves, that closes that distance before a fight even starts? That's the role of the USS Lewis B. Puller, a $650 million floating fortress that rewrites the rules of reach in the Pacific. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
China has launched new classes of nuclear and diesel-electric submarines at breakneck speed. China's new submarines are equipped with revolutionary, silent new propulsion systems. They are getting quieter and more lethal. While the US still holds the lead in core technology, the stealth of its Virginia-class submarines remains unmatched. Its industrial base is buckling. Armed with cutting-edge anti-ship missiles, and now, even hypersonic weapons.
How can empty ocean be more dangerous than missiles? In the Indo-Pacific, distance itself becomes a weapon. 60 million square miles of open water separate the American mainland and its island outposts. Every carrier or destroyer must cross that empty expanse to fight, refuel, or resupply. Each day lost in transit gives China precious time to prepare, position, and pressure without ever firing a shot. That reach gap shapes every US decision in the region. Bases in Japan and Korea can launch aircraft, but their fuel and food still come from ships that travel weeks across the Pacific.
The US struggles to produce more than a handful of new submarines a year, leaving its aging fleet vulnerable to China's relentless shipbuilding blitz. Already, US commanders say Chinese subs are patrolling further, testing boundaries from Guam to the Indian Ocean. This is a cold, calculated race where a single mistake could have catastrophic consequences. Analysts warn that by 2035, China could match or even outnumber America's active fleet.
Guam is closer, yet still isolated enough that one damaged airstrip could seal off an entire strike group. It's the tyranny of distance, a slow bleed no missile battery can solve. China understands this better than anyone. It doesn't need to match carrier for carrier when it can shorten distance through access. Beijing funds port upgrades in Fiji, builds airfields on reclaimed reefs, and offers infrastructure loans across the island arcs of the South Pacific. Some projects, like the Security Pact in the Solomon Islands, open the door for Chinese forces to land without warning.
America's allies from Australia to Japan are now rushing to bolster their fleets. Canberra is investing tens of billions under the AUKUS Pact, while Tokyo expands its silent service.
Others bind smaller nations through debt, turning civilian facilities into potential logistics hubs. The result is a lattice of influence stretching from Southeast Asia toward the heart of the Central Pacific. Each agreement, each paved runway, erodes the American ability to maneuver freely. Every added mile of distance stretches fuel, ammunition, and repair chains thinner. Geography becomes an ally for China, a force multiplier that doesn't require conflict to inflict advantage. This is slow warfare by positioning. A contest fought not with strikes, but with endurance. And for Washington, adding more ships isn't the cure. The next countermeasure is something far less expected. What kind of vessel could erase that advantage and bring the fight back to equal ground? What does a 784-foot oil tanker have to do with rewriting Pacific strategy? On the surface, nothing. But the USS Lewis B puller isn't just a converted cargo ship, it's the Navy's first expeditionary sea base, a vessel built to live where no base can. It's part warship, part logistics hub, and part floating command post designed to turn the ocean itself into usable ground. Its mission starts where distance cripples fleets. When ports are denied or destroyed, puller fills the gap. It carries over 11 million gallons of fuel and enough equipment to sustain an entire task force far from land. The ship's modified Alaska-class hull supports a massive flat deck, large enough for heavy-lift helicopters and drone operations that can stretch hundreds of miles from the nearest base. Below that deck, maintenance bays keep those aircraft operational for weeks, while desalination plants and power systems generate the basics of survival: fresh water, food, and energy. That independence turns it into a self-contained island. It refuels destroyers one day, launches special operations the next, and never needs to anchor near a city or ally. Off Africa, it's supported minesweeping and anti-piracy patrols. Elsewhere, it's acted as an offshore platform for raids and recoveries that required no airstrip, no embassy, and no permission slip. For China's planners, that mobility is a problem. Their entire Indo-Pacific strategy depends on forcing opponents to run out of range and time. Puller breaks that logic. Every expanse of ocean becomes a potential staging area. Every denied port becomes irrelevant. Geography loses its grip. Vice Admiral Kevin M. Donegan called the concept revolutionary, and he's right. The puller turns the Pacific from barrier to battlefield, proving that control now belongs to whoever can move, sustain, and strike first. Mobility, not territory, decides who dominates the sea. China doesn't fear the USS Lewis B puller for its weapons, it fears what it represents. Vice Admiral Kevin M. Donegan called it a revolutionary concept, because it erases geography as a constraint. The puller makes distance meaningless, turning isolation into advantage. In future wars, mobility, not firepower, will decide who commands the Pacific battle space. Power will flow to whoever can move fastest, adapt mid-fight, and survive without fixed ground. The puller embodies that future. It's not a ship, it's presence made portable. Subscribe and join a community that seeks to understand the realities of modern conflict.